Okay, welcome to this Sunday results show in the Barclays Premier League. Just a brief word. If you're a regular viewer, you'll see that the backdrop is a little bit less confusing. Yes, I've taken down some of the posters. They were getting in the way of my pictures relevant to the commentary that I give on the actual matches, so they've gone. The other thing is, of course, my look. The hair's got longer and the beard's getting thicker. I may well do something about the hair. Basically the beard. Well, I'm leaving that for the time being because laziness has set in. So. Let's get on to the reason why you're here, which is the three matches that were played on Sunday in the Barclays Premier League. So it all got started at 2 o'clock local time. That was 9 PM here in Thailand, with the opening fixture between Southampton and Manchester United played at St Mary's. Interesting team news. Van der Beek made his debut for the Reds. No Pogba, he's got an injury, but he wasn't even on the bench. Mata on the bench, and the new left back Telles with his debut as well. We had Matic alongside Fred in midfield with Fernandes just in front of them, and Greenwood and Rashford up front. Martial not available. For Southampton, no Redmond and no Danny Ings. Sure, they're going to miss him. But Walcott, who's now back at Southampton, his first club, he was up front with Adams. And the rest of the side looked very much as it always done. But we're also going to keep a lookout for James Ward-Prowse. So let's get to the action. 6 minutes, and Greenwood was put through after some neat work, but he managed to get around the keeper, advancing McCarthy, but his shot hit the side netting. Good approach words by that left back, Telles, and he looked very good throughout, it has to be said. Very impressed with him, very steady. Priority is defence, but he's good at getting forward as well. 15 minutes, Bruno Fernandes let fly with an effort from 25 yards, but it was snuffed out relatively easily. And then at the other end, 22 minutes, a corner for the Saints, and Ward-Prowse, the deliverer, and what a wicked delivery he gave the United defence. They were in all sorts of bother. De Gea couldn't get to it, but Nedrak, he managed to get his head to it, and it went in, and that was 1-0 to the Saints. An assist for Ward-Prowse for certain. After that, Walker-Peters, right back, he had a chance, and his effort grazed the post from the edge of the box. Some more question marks about the United defence. 29 minutes, Greenwood and Fernandes threatened with two efforts against McCarthy, but he stood up to it, and this followed his poor clearance, so he was cleaning up after his own poor work. And then Gnabry, 31, he's a skillful player, and he was brought down just outside the box in the right back area by Wan-Bissaka. Oh my goodness. Yes, we all held our breath, United fans. James Ward-Prowse put the ball down, and he delivered an absolute gem to go with the two he got against Everton. It was so ferocious and so accurate that De Gea managed to collide with the post and did his kneeing trying to keep it out. It was all in vain because it crossed the line, and so Southampton were 2 up. A late effort before the half Again, following a poor work by Jaher, who looked like he was carrying an injury, but this time Gnabry unfortunately didn't make the most of it. So we got to the half break, and Southampton well on top, leading by 2-0. Second half action, and De Gea was withdrawn. Henderson getting his first full debut in the Barclays Premier League, and so he was on, and he was in the action on 47 when Walcott tested him, but he handled it fairly well. And Rashford up the other end, but he managed to get in on goal, but he couldn't beat McCarthy. 55 minutes. Some more frantic pressure on the Staines defence, but this time Cavani had come on. He managed to blast it over. Looked a little bit short of match practice. 59 minutes. Fernandes managed to get on the end of a Cavani assist following good work on the right by Basaka, and he made no mistake planting it to the left of McCarthy, and that was 2-1, and United were right back in it. And then on 78 minutes, an absolutely superb equaliser by Edison Cavani. This boy, I like him a lot. He's a typical old-fashioned centre forward, likes to rip up the defence and knows where the goal is. He headed in superbly from a Fernandes cross, which was a little bit more like a strike, but the anticipation for Cavani, a diving header, and it whistled past the keeper, and that was 2-2. There was a response from Southampton. Adams had a snapshot which went wide 5 minutes later, but after that it was all United pushing for the winner. Rashford and Fred very much at the heart of it, and then we got to added time, and a great cross from Fernandes, and who else? Cavani glided his header wide of the keeper. It was an arrow-like header, and it hit the net, and Solskjaer and the bench absolutely erupted. United had turned it round, and that was it. So we got to the final whistle. A disheartened Hasenhüttl, but a jubilant Manchester United team, and of course Solskjaer. Final score at St Mary's: Southampton 2, Manchester United 3. So up next, the London derby, the highly anticipated London derby between Chelsea, currently third at the beginning of the week 10, and Spurs, who were at the top. Both sides looked at full strength. We have to point out, though, that Havertz is still injured for Chelsea, and Pulisic also out. Lampard's continuing with this Rudiger-Zuma combination in the heart of the defence. But I think Thiago was back for them for this game, although I didn't actually see the team before we got going. Spurs, well, they've got Birdwine in. Mora is on the bench with Bale. Aurier is at right back for the Wolves guy who's injured. And in midfield, I thought I saw De Celso, but I may be wrong. Sonnen came up front. Okay, off we went then. And an early effort for Bergwijn on 8 minutes came put him through, but his effort was well over. And then a couple of minutes later, Werner managed to get the ball in the net. It was a clinical finish after some great work by Mount breaking from midfield, but he was judged to be offside. 15 minutes, a test for Mendy by Aurier, but he managed to get a hold of it without too many problems. And then just before the break, 37 minutes, Abraham had an opportunity, but it then went beyond Werner, who was coming in to pick up the scraps. So we ended up goalless at the break. Second half, early on, James at right back for Chelsea. He seems to be a permanent fixture now. He managed to get a great cross in, and Abraham was just inches away from connecting, and then it was cleared by the defence. And Ziggy, I'm not quite sure of that pronunciation, he shot well over on 66. And then finally, a Mount on 80, a strike from the edge of the box, which forced a good save from Lloris. Not much from Spurs in the second half, it has to be said, but we got to the final whistle. It wasn't a particularly auspicious match, to be perfectly frank. Two teams cancelling each other out and not many chances. So the full-time score as a result was Chelsea 0, Tottenham 0. We've got two games on Monday night, but this was the final match on Sunday, and it was at the Emirates, and it was Arsenal at home to Wolves. Moutinho was in for Neves, and Traore was selected on the right for Espirito Santo's team. I always like watching this boy. He's obviously very nippy, very talented, and usually something happens when he's on the board. For the Gunners, no Lacazette, Pepe suspended, of course, Saka involved in his place, and Willett, I think, selected as well. Anyway, we got a fairly slow start from the highlights, but on 26 minutes, Neto managed to capitalise on a bit of poor keeping, really, from Leno. He couldn't hold a shot from Traore's ball got to the byline, and his cross was met by Dendolka, and he headed against the bar. He should have actually scored, really, but in the melee that followed, Neto got to the ball and forced it across the line. So Wolves in front by a 1-0. They didn't keep it for very long, however, and 5 minutes on, a William corner was met by the majestic Gabriel, whose header crashed into the net. A really soaring effort, and we were back to 1-1. Now, an incident occurred after this that I didn't see, but I read about it. A very, very serious incident involving Luis and the Mexican Raul Jimenez. They collided heads together, and it left Jimenez unconscious, and Luis with blood spurting from a wound to his head. The result was that Jimenez was shipped to hospital, given oxygen on the pitch. Luis did continue. The news is that Jimenez is okay, but it was a serious incident. Luis continued playing, but he was actually taken off at the break by Arteta. So it just goes to show these head clashes can be very, very dangerous. But back to the action. On 41 minutes, Podence pounced after a poor save by Leno from Neto, and this was the one that I referred to earlier and got it all wrong. As a result, Wolves went back in front by 2-1. The second half, good defending by Gabriel prevented a third from Silva, who was on for Jimenez for Wolves. A free kick from Willian on 56, just over, and Nelson came on, and he had an effort on 74, again just over the bar. After it was pulled back from the byline. And Aubameyang, yes, he was playing. His first effort really was a header on 81, and the Aubameyang we knew up to a few weeks ago would have certainly buried this chance, but he's not in the greatest of form, and so his effort went over. And that was about it. We reached the final whistle. Arsenal defeat at home again. This is becoming quite a frequent song in Arteta's ears. Final score: Arsenal 1, Wolves 2. And that completes the Sunday action.